Welcome to the Library Connection. I'm Tracy Thomas, Assistant Director at the V.B. Comer Library, and we want to thank you so much for joining us today and for joining us every week. We appreciate you for joining us, and we thank the TV station here, TV 47, so much for giving us the opportunity to come into your home and share things that we think are just really exciting library events with you. Today our guest needs no introduction. We have Dr. Shirley Spears with us, and we have, every year at the library, we have some main focuses. We focus on doing services with children, we focus on doing services with teens, and we focus on doing services with adults. And during the summertime, we wipe our whole summer calendar out and focus on our children, doing a wonderful summer reading program that lasts 6-8 weeks, depending on when we get started. But twice a year we do 2 programs, our Brown Bag series, that are devoted to our adults. And so we're really excited about that. If you've been before, you know that the presenters are excellent presenters. And so today we're going to talk about our South First Moments to Remember Brown Bag program. So Dr. Spears, thank you so much for planning such a wonderful series and for coming on with us today.
Well, Tracy, it's always my pleasure to talk about the Brown Bag series because it's been my heart for such a long time. We've been doing it for about 22 years that we've been doing the noon concept. We had done programs in years before that. But once we found our niche there with that noon time slot, we have really had some good programs and done well. And I always like to say to start with, and maybe to end also, that we're so appreciative of South First Bank for making this series possible for us. And then we have our media outlets that help us, like 47 and the Daily Home and the radio stations. They all help us so much to get the word out because, you know, it wouldn't do any good to have programs if you couldn't get the word out on that. But one thing that we found out is that if we kick off with music in January, I think that really appeals to people because, you know, basically, generally, it's wet, cold weather. Yeah. Now, we've had an interesting winter, and we have not had a lot of wet, cold winter. But we are kicking off with, I couldn't get by without Buddy Simpkins. He's so wonderful, and he's my contact person with Birmingham, with the historic jazz players there. And so that is a really good thing that he brings to fruition, and they are not able to practice together. So basically we just call it Jazz and More or the best jam session ever, or just give it a title that indicates, hey, we've got a bunch of really talented people that are coming together and they're going to play us some music. And they hadn't had a chance to practice, but they've all played for years and years and years. So he has Bo Berry coming in to play the trumpet, just a wonderful trumpet player. And then we're having Elnora Spencer, of course, our vocalist, and the crowd loves her so much. She sings those good old Goldie oldies and does such a good job with it. And she's had so many awards. And then we have Byron Thomas, who's playing the piano. And Byron's a really good pianist. We have some different people on piano from time to time. And of course, we have Jeff Drew on bass. And he's really good. Now, we're always, a lot of times we'll have Cleve Eaton. He's an older guy and a real showman, but Jeff is really, I think, as good on bass as anybody I've seen. He does a really good job with it. So you can just get ready to come down for that first kickoff on January the 11th and get ready to just have a good time and to hear the songs and listen to the music and see your friends. And we have the refreshments from 11 till 12. You can come early and bring a sandwich and have our wonderful hostesses down there to serve you drinks and desserts and that sort of thing. So it's always a pleasure to kick off with jazz, and we do it almost every year, and we probably will continue to do so. It's just so good. As long as those guys last, we want them to come.
There's just something about the starting off with the music. Everybody comes in that day, and it's just such a light-hearted program, because some of the programs do have rather serious themes about them, and so to kick off with music just sets a good tone for everybody. And you mentioned the refreshments and our hostesses,
yes.
And I just want to say that we have such a dedicated group of people. It's really impressive to see them come out and to serve, and we have food from Hickory Street Cafe, and they help provide some food, and so we're really appreciative of all that.
Well, it's just interesting because Jo Andrews, she hostesses and heads that up, but she also decorates so beautifully. And you got Nelda Vogel and Mike Van Elsen, and that staff is just wonderful. They really have their heart in the Brown Bag series, so they really help make it possible.
They go above and beyond to make sure that it's ready when people get there. So program number 2.
Well, this is a new program for me, and I stepped out on faith and took Dr. Mark Hersey, and he is sort of an expert on the South. And I say the South as an idea and the South as a place. You know, all over the country and all over the world, everybody knows about the American South. They know about the good things. Sometimes they don't know about the wonderful, some of the wonderful things that we do have, but they certainly know about the bad things. Mm-hmm. You know, we've gotten a lot of press over the years with things that are not so favorable. So I think it's a wonderful thing that he has taken the geography of our state and looked at the diversity of the mountain. We have such a diverse state. I just think it's one of the most beautiful states. It has to be in the Union because we've got the white sands on the coast, and we've got the beautiful mountains up in the northern part, and then I think we have our own unique beauty around here and in the Clay County look, and then in South Alabama with the wiregrass. So the state is just an interesting and diverse place, and he will come in and talk about how that impacts on how the diversity, the geographic diversity impacts on the politics of a region, and it's just an interesting thought to me that we're influenced by where we live. So he'll be talking about the political struggles, he'll be talking about the economic plight of Alabama and the South. So he's really quite a speaker. He's an associate professor of history at Mississippi State University, and he's in at Auburn actually as what's called the Breeden Scholar. He's in residence down there for the winter quarter doing classes and teaching on site. So they contacted us and said, we'd love to bring our scholars to the B.B. Comer Library. So I decided that we would give him a try, and I think he will not disappoint us.
You know, sometimes when you hear the topic of a program, you think, well, I'm not really clear about, you know, what that's going to be about. And then it ends up being one of the best programs that you've seen.
Well, I've had so many people tell me going out the door, you know, I came today for you. I really didn't think I'd enjoy this program, and we do have so many faithful people that like to support us. But they'll say, I wouldn't have believed that this program could be this good. This is one of the best programs I've ever seen, like the Robert Trent Jones golf trail. I had so many people say, well, you know, I don't play golf. And when they started leaving, they said, oh, God, this was so good, you know. So you can't judge. Don't judge the programs. Just come.
We had several programs last year, and I thought, well, you know, I don't believe that's a topic I'd have any interest in. And then I went, and I came away with so many new ideas about that subject. So it's always good to just come and hear it first and then make your opinion, but I think you'll enjoy them. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some more programs in our series.
Hi, it's Shawnee McNeil at South First Bank. This is a great time for you to buy or build a new home, or maybe refinance your present mortgage. Our rates are the lowest they've been in years, and that means saving you money. We've been helping our customers become homeowners in this area for nearly 70 years, and we can make our approvals right here in the office, and that means saving you time. We're located here in downtown Sylacauga. Come in and find South First, a better way to bank.
Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Hey y'all, Jim Green from TV47. You can now catch us on the internet. We're streaming live at TV47.tv. All of our great programming, whether it's Daybreak with Jimmy Dale, Matt Coulter, and Around the Track with Matt, or I'll be on with Coosa Valley Magazine, and a whole lot more too, right here at TV47, now TV47.tv on the internet. Whatever device, you can watch us right there at TV47.tv.
What do you see? What do you see now? Hunters are required to wear 144 square inches of hunter orange during Alabama's gun deer season. See the difference? Hunter orange saves lives. Wear it. This message brought to you by the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources and this station.
Welcome back to the Library Connection. I'm Tracy Thomas, Assistant Director at the Comer Library, and today we're joined by Dr. Shirley Spears, our Library Director. And Dr. Spears, we've been talking about the South First Bank Moments to Remember Brown Bag series. It's an adult program that we do, and you bring in some wonderful scholars.
We're lucky. We have good presenters.
You have a good reputation. That's how you get good scholars.
Well, it's a wonderful thing. We have Lee Ross Atkins is coming on January the 25th, our third program. And Leah's just, she's a legend. She really is. And I could say more about her than actually the program, although I think the program's very interesting. She's doing My Grandfather's War. and she's talking about two of her great-grandfather's role in the Civil War. And she, of course, knows an awful lot about the Civil War. She is a Southern historian. But I think that she will make that story so interesting, telling, because she's done so much research on those great-grandfathers, and she knows a great deal about the grandfathers and the families and what they endured and how all that comes out. But Leah is, as we like to say, a woman of many firsts. She was the first PhD in history at Auburn University. She was the first woman with the graduate degree there, but she was the first PhD in history, which I think is a real interesting thing. She was a national world water ski champion, which is something that she's kind of known for in a way that's kind of stuck with her. The athletic award at Auburn, the Women's Athletic Award, is named after her. She also wrote the largest NEH grant that's ever been written to bring a reading discussion series to the state of Alabama. That was a series called Read Alabama, which really kick-started us on doing the kind of things that we do now. That was the first experience really that we had with reading and discussion in any formal manner. She established the first Center for the Arts and Humanities at Auburn University. It was the first in the state of Alabama. It is renowned and it has been a model for the nation, and she's the director emeritus of that. So Leah will bring a wonderful program. People who have seen her will be here from far and near to see her, because she doesn't present as much as she used to, so people will be glad to have her back.
She's such a well-respected scholar.
She is. She's got such a great personality. Yeah. She really does.
You have another really well-respected scholar coming for the next program.
She's a protege of Leah's, actually. Her name's Catherine Braun. She has degrees from Auburn University, and she has a degree from Florida State University, and she has a professorship at Auburn University. Her specialty is in Southeastern Indians. I don't know anyone right off the bat that I think knows more about Southeastern Indians than Catherine does now. Now, she came in 1994 and did a 4-part series for us called The Way We Were on Indians. And I reminded her of that a few days ago, and she said, oh gosh, I was so green back then, Shirley. I feel like I've learned so much about Indians since then. So she has continued to grow. She's so active with Horseshoe Bend, with all the state and national organizations, and Catherine's just a prize, but she's going to do a series called Portraits of a People, and that's Creek Indian leaders. She's going to show us how to interpret portraits to tell something about people, because she says the way they dressed was such a part of who they were and part of their power. And so she's going to take those portraits and actually show them to us, and she's going to talk about the dress, what it represents, and the role that it played in leadership. So I think that's going to be an interesting program and different from anything that she's done before for us.
Well, and I know too, through the years when you've looked for scholars, you've turned to Catherine at times because she's had some really wonderful students that have come and presented programs too.
She has helped me so much. I don't know anybody except Hardy Jackson at JSU that has helped so much for Comer Library as Catherine Braun. And she's helped a lot of other places. Anyone comes to me and says, do you know presenters? I say, get in touch with Catherine Braun. She knows a lot of good people. So she's just a wonderful lady. She lives on Lake Martin, and she's almost home folks. And Catherine's just a wonderful presenter and a wonderful person. We're glad to have her coming back. I think it'll be very good.
Now, on February the 8th, you've got one of those programs that's a little bit different.
You know, it almost is a wild card, because I just got to thinking about Dr. Dan Hallman. He came in and did us a program on, I can't remember, I believe it was on Yamamata, the Japanese leader that was killed. It was the program that he did for me. I know it was a World War II program. And I thought he was a good presenter and very unimpressed with himself. He just did such a layperson-friendly program for us that day. And I found some topics that he had, and I thought, I want him to do the U.S. Air Force's air war over Serbia. Now, I know that sounds a little strange to bring in as a topic, but then when you look a little closer and I read his description, I didn't think so at all, because it was a war that the United Nations called on our Air Force to fight, and it was to free Serbia from an ethnic cleansing campaign there by, I can never say his name right, but the leader there, the dictator there, Milosevic, was doing an ethnic cleansing. It was terrible. And it made me think about today and how our Air Force went in and absolutely took care of that problem. And I thought, well, that's kind of good for us to think about and to know that we had a role there. It was called Noble Anvil. It was our code title there. It was the first war won by air power alone, and it was the first one in which the United States Air Force had played the major role. And there's just so many stories within that story about those strategic bombers and how they were used in that little war that was fought there. I think people are going to love it. I really do. I think it's going to be good for our morale to see that we did something right.
Yeah. I know if you're watching, you're listening to this lineup, and I hope that you'll understand that, to get scholars of this quality, your program has to be something that they want to come for. And I'm just really, really proud that they want to come to the Comer Library.
They do.
And one of the things that they say when they come is, we know that Sylacauga is going to turn out for these programs, because nobody wants to go to a program and have 5 people that show up.
That's
and we're
true.
just so proud of our people that come and participate, because that's what makes the program.
I think it's one of the most impressive things. We have our audience coming in. They come from Auburn, Dadeville, Talladega, Pell City, Birmingham. We have some people that come from Prattville. We have a great core of people that come from here. Our Sylacauga audience is renowned. And so it's a wonderful thing to bring people to town, because they come here, and a lot of times they go down and have lunch after the programs are over, or maybe they gas up before they go home, or they go by Walmart's if they're from over to the Clay County way. So we feel like it's a great economic draw for our town, which I think is an important part of doing programming that we do. We draw so many people, and it helps with our return on investment, because we know that for every dollar that the city of Sylacauga puts into the library, we bring $5 to $7 back in worth to the economy. So, we're not as big as some organizations, and we're bigger than others, but we have a unique position in that we draw people to town, I think, probably better than anything except retail.
I think it's wonderful, and we appreciate our people so much that come out and support the programs. We've got a few more programs to tell you about right after this break.
Hi, it's Shawnee McNeil at South First Bank. This is a great time for you to buy or build a new home, or maybe refinance your present mortgage. Our rates are the lowest they've been in years, and that means saving you money. We've been helping our customers become homeowners in this area for nearly 70 years, and we can make our approvals right here in the office, and that means saving you time. We're located here in downtown Sylacauga. Come in and find South First, a better way to bank.
Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Hey Birmingham, it's your favorite girlfriend, Ebony Steele, back in my hometown. My show, Coffee with America, is now on WOIL TV 47 4 days a week. Catch me and Sasha Rianda Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 8 a.m. You can also see us Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. We're bringing you the latest in lifestyle, food, entertainment, you name it. We'll see you soon.
Hey Sylacauga, I'm Dr. Gina, and I want you to join me live every weeknight, Monday through Friday, right here on Channel 47 on the world's first social television show. And it's going to be all about you, whether it's presidential politics or Deflategate. If it's trending, we're going to be talking about it. I want you to join me live every Monday through Friday on Channel 47. Don't miss it. America Trends with Dr. Gina, Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. right here on Channel 47. See you then.
Welcome back to the Library Connection. Today we're talking with Dr. Shirley Spears, our Library Director, about our South First Moments to Remember Adult Brown Bag Program series, and we've already heard about 5 of the 8 programs, and we've got 3 more to cover.
Okay. Well, on February the 15th, we have Sarah Wright coming back to us. She came in about 2 years ago, and those of you who were there will remember Sarah, because she is one of the best presenters that I've ever had. She did the Beamiston feed sack story for us, and we had a lot of people because, Beamiston's such a historic town, and it was the second largest manufacturer of bags in the United States during the war. Still have the village there. It was a great topic. But I'm having Sarah come back because her expertise is in quilting. And she's been an opera singer. She was an opera singer for about 40 years, and her father was Dr. Richard Bliss in Talladega, so she's a Talladega girl. And during those years that she has been so involved in the cultural arts, after she retired, she quilted a quilt using her father's silk neckties, and she said that's really how she got interested in quilting. Well, she got scholarly with it, and she started studying the art of quilting and doing programs for the Alabama Humanities Foundation, and she's published articles and booklets, and she has become an expert in the art of the quilt. So she is coming to do us what's called the Mount Ida Quilt Project. That is a quilt that was quilted in Talladega County at Mount Ida there by, I believe it was 9 women that quilted that quilt. And they did squares. The ladies did squares, and I don't know too much about it. We do have a picture of the quilt. It's quite beautiful. But they put what they wanted to in their square, put it together. That was done in 1851. Well, after Sarah got interested in quilting and in the historic element of it, she got together a group and put together a project, and they requilted that quilt. They did their own version of it, and these were all people that were connected with that first group of women. I think that's such an interesting thing to do. So that quilt has been on national tour. It has had articles written about it. It's quite a quilt, and so she'll have wonderful pictures of the original, which is at Archives and History. She may have the Mount Ida quilt. I really don't know. If she doesn't, she'll have wonderful pictures. She brought a lot of quilts the last time she came. So I'm looking forward to having Sarah back with us. She will not disappoint us.
It's a great story. The quilt story is a great one.
It is.
So on February the 22nd, we have a new friend coming to be with us. He's been with us once before, but this will be sort of a new capacity for him.
Well, I almost said Merle Haggard, but it's Terry Robbins. Terry Robbins will be doing us a program on Merle Haggard. We call him the People's Poet. And Merle Haggard, of course, has a wonderful, interesting story. He grew up in Depression-era California, lived with his family in a boxcar, wound up in lots of trouble in his life, had a lot of sickness for a period of time, and then, of course, got in a lot of trouble. Served time in prison, and there I think is where he really got interested in music and playing. He had always played the guitar and been interested in that aspect of it, but he really got serious in prison. I guess you have time to get serious there. And so, anyway, when he came out of prison, he was a proponent of what's called outlaw country, and I think it's called the Bakersville Sound, which is where he was from. And any of those of you who know about Merle know how wonderful he is, and he just died this last year. And as I said, he was called the People's Poet. I think his songs will be around probably forever. Okie from Muskogee was undoubtedly the best-known song that he had, but he had an impressive number of songs. Like here I'm saying 38 #1 hits. He had 70 albums out there. So he is just an astonishing man who recorded with people like Willie Nelson, and he's so much fun to go online and watch. There's been documentaries done on him. I know he's been on educational TV. His life is so interesting, and his talent is so phenomenal. We think that Terry, because he's quite a singer, and he belongs to the group, the Songwriters Association down the way that meets at the museum. He's spent a lot of time in 32 years. He has a degree in education, taught a while, was insurance man, all of those things. But he has spent an awful lot of time playing in bands and songwriting, and he's had some awards. And I think he sings. That's why we asked him back. We liked his singing so much. So he's coming back to do a Merle Haggard program for us. I think you'll love it. I think if you'll just come out, you'll really be glad that you did. It's
kind of divine intervention the way we came across him, because he came and did a program with Sylacauga Songwriters Association, and we were all just real impressed with his singing, and he left us a CD. And after I was sitting there at my desk listening, and you mentioned, I'd always thought I'd like to have somebody come in and do a program on Merle Haggard. And I picked this CD up, and I said, well,
there he is.
He's got a tribute to Merle Haggard, about 3 or 4 songs on his CD, so it was worked out really well.
I think it'll be great, and we do look for music and for unique ideas to present to our public, not to dominate our series, but to bring some bright spots to it. And
absolutely.
So, I think Terry's going to do that. I think he's serious about his singing.
And then, of course, you end up on March the 1st with our old friend Dolores Hydock, who never disappoints.
Well, speaking of bright spots, you don't get any better than Dolores Hydock. She's the best storyteller that I've ever seen, and I have not seen too many people that won't concede that she's probably the best they've ever seen. We all loved Catherine Tucker Wyndham. And actually, Dolores worked some with her before Catherine died. And Catherine certainly respected her work. She's coming in to do some stories for us. And many years ago, she did The Red-Headed Woman Meets Mr. Death, and some other short stories that she's just wonderful. There's no way to describe her. But she is coming back to do a repeat on that at my request, because I thought it was one of the best programs I'd ever seen her do, and that's saying a lot. So she'll be coming in to see this woman who gets on a horse and rides to hell to get her husband back. And so it's just a fascinating story and a wonderful tall tale. It's a tall tale that she has adapted and brought her own style to. So you just don't get any better than Dolores. She's wonderful. If you've seen her, you'll be back if you can. If you haven't, you need to come.
You need to come.
Yeah, right.
You need to come. Well, we've talked just a little bit about our sponsor, South First Bank, and we appreciate Randy Fields and all the sponsorship that they give us. Chris Kramer, that group over there, they all work so hard to help promote what we do at the library. And one of the things that I just wanted to remind people about is when you invite a scholar to come, they have a lot of time. They have to prep for this. They have, a lot of times they may travel 2 or 3 hours to get here. So you've got them tied up sometimes for a whole day.
Most of the time they have to devote a day. They really do, because we're in the middle of the day. So you've got their morning coming in, and maybe they'll stay and eat with us afterwards, and then they've got to go home. So they give up a day of their life to come to Sylacauga to do this, and I think that's so wonderful. And we can never stress too much. We try to pay them an honorarium and try to cover their expenses. And there are so many of them that have told me, they'll say, "Don't let money keep you from doing a program. I'll come back to this for nothing." So they're very complimentary of coming to Sylacauga. So I think that's the ultimate compliment. But that's not the way we want it. We want them to be reimbursed for what they do. And Randy Fields, over at South First Bank for several years, I guess he's been sponsoring for 5 or 6 years. Both of our programs, he does the winter and the spring series. And Randy is, they say they're the hometown bank, and Randy's a wonderful citizen of Sylacauga. He's going to be the president of Rotary next year, and he's very interested and involved in that. He serves on the Library Foundation, and I'm sure that he has a lot of other things that he does here in town that I don't know about, because I think South First Bank supports the community in every way that they possibly can. So we appreciate Randy so much.
Dr. Pierce, we've got about 30 seconds left, and I thought for anybody that's watching, maybe you've never come to a brown bag program before, you don't know what to expect, you don't know the flow. Tell us what time things start and how they move from room to room.
We open up that refreshment room at 11 o'clock, and we have wonderful refreshments, and you can bring your husband or wife with you. We have lots of husband and wife teams. They come and eat together and have fun. Walk across the hall to the auditorium at 12 o'clock. We have a program, and you're usually out of there by 1 o'clock. So it's just a middle of the day filled with fun and learning. So please feel comfortable about coming, because you'll meet the friendliest group of people in the world. They'll make you feel so at home, and you'll have a good time. So please come out.
Thank you so much for
I
preparing
appreciate this.
Putting this together, and thank you so much for joining us, and to the TV station for helping us promote this. And we appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you at Moments to Remember.